Hello, I'm Gunther Dedmund. I'm calling to tell you about exciting opportunities in timeshare living. If you're single and or Oh, hello my friends, and welcome to the basement sublet of horror. I am your host, Gunther Dedmund, and well, sorry about that little bit there. I'm short on cash this month, and well, I have a new neighbor up the hall there who's enlisted me in an exciting new opportunity in telemarketing phone sales. Yes, I've taken up a new part-time job working for him, and well, timeshare living or some blah blah like that. Anyway, so tonight's film will be, well, you don't have to listen to me talk on the phone, so you can watch Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory from 1962. Oh, it's going to be a great snapping film. And it was originally called Lycanthropus, which is, I guess, the original word for a werewolf. It was also called A Ghoul in the Girl's Dormitory, I Married a Werewolf, and it was also called A Ghoul in the School, which I actually like better. I don't know why they didn't keep that name. Anyway, you go off to the movie, and I guess I have to get back to work here. So anyway, yes. Hello, I am Gunther Dedmund. I am calling you to tell you about exciting new opportunities in timeshare living. If you are single and or married.
This is the love school where 1 and 1 made 2, and 2 or more, an orgy.
Yes, who are you? What do you want? I'm Julian Olcott. The director is expecting me. Enter, please. Thank you.
It's a pleasure for you, too, isn't it, teacher?
I'm Norma Neufner, policewoman, attached to the juvenile division. I'm on a call from a very worried mother whose daughter is missing. Her daughter's name is Judy Miller. Judy enjoyed babysitting, but there weren't enough jobs among the people she knew, so she decided to advertise at the supermarket for extra work.
You were Julian Olcott, sir?
Yes, I am.
I am Leonore MacDonald.
I'm very glad to know you.
The director is expecting you.
Thank you.
Julian Olcott, correct?
Yes, that's right.
How do you do?
Pleasure. Dr. Benson told me to see you, and here I am.
Dr. Benson is an old friend. He wrote to me. I've been expecting you. Please, sit down, Doctor.
There's something I should tell you.
Please, sit down, Doctor.
Late the following afternoon, the phone rang, and Judy was offered a job for that evening. The man told her he and his wife were going out to dinner and that their regulars could he pick her up in 15 minutes. Judy's mother hadn't returned when it was time to go, so she left a message by the telephone.
Yes, Dr. Olcott. I know everything. Benson explained it to me, and he also said you were acting in good faith.
That's very kind of you.
Please, sit down, Doctor.
You know the court of law has found me to be innocent.
I know. So here you'll just be Professor Julian Olcott, and the past shall be of no importance.
Thank you. It's very good of you.
You don't have to thank me. Thank our mutual friend, Dr. Benson. I hope you'll be comfortable here. Please, sit down, Doctor.
When her mother came home, she found Judy's note and called the number to let Judy know she was home in case she wanted anything. A woman answered, but she didn't know anything about Judy and told Mrs. Miller she must have the wrong number.
Our institute is not a house of punishment. The girls are given a chance here by the generosity of our benefactors. Without this institute, the majority of them would be in some state reformatory. We are trying to give them work and an education.
By midnight, Mrs. Miller was really worried. She phoned the police and was transferred to juvenile. I took the necessary information and assured her we'd do everything we could. She'd have to try to be patient and wait. The waiting lasted almost a week. Then the report came in. Judy's body had been found on a lonely desert road.
And put them back on the right road. No one is ill-treated here, but your job will not be an easy one.
Very good. I shall do my best because it's also important to me to find myself.
Surely, the past can become a nightmare unless we can free ourselves of it. But you must remember that here you are not a doctor anymore, but just a professor of science.
Of course, I won't forget.
The most difficult part of my job is bringing bad news to parents. You can never find the right words to tell a mother her daughter has been murdered. Judy hadn't done anything wrong. She'd only been careless. Careless about whom she'd trusted. In itself, there'd been nothing wrong about advertising for a job, but it led her to trusting a person she knew nothing about. A mentally sick person who used her innocent ad as an introduction to his act of violence.
You hear the wolves? The other day, the farmers had to kill 2 of them. The people are going mad with fear.
If I were Mary, I would be frightened.
Look there.
Often seemingly innocent places can turn out to be just where wrong associations are made. Mary met Robert at just such a place. Robert frequented the malt shop in his spare time, which was considerable, as he'd finished high school and didn't work. Here he sought out the company of younger teenagers because he wasn't accepted by those of his own age group. Mary and her girlfriend could always be found at the malt shop after school. Mary had seen Robert before and thought he was very good looking, so she was naturally flattered when he singled her out and struck up a friendly conversation. He was fun to talk to, and they discussed everything from cars to movie stars. When he offered her a ride home, she was only too happy to accept. They began to go to secluded places, and their relationship became more intimate. Mary knew things were getting out of hand because Bob became more and more demanding, but not wishing to lose his friendship or the prestige she enjoyed from her friends for having an older boyfriend, she complied with his desire. Then Mary found she was in trouble and had to tell her parents. But now it was too late for advice, and Mary had to be taken out of school and placed under the guidance of juvenile authorities. Unfortunately, Mary's story is not an unusual one. Many young girls are flattered by the attention of older boys and don't realize until too late that these boys, who cannot compete in their own age group, are often not well adjusted and will demand too much in a relationship with a younger girl. At midnight, her parents became alarmed and called the Nelsons. Yes, Elizabeth was home. Hadn't they picked up Sally? No, over an hour ago. Well, of course she could talk to Elizabeth. Between guilty tears, Elizabeth told what had happened. Sally had been found, dazedly walking down the road from Lookout Peak. It was a night they'll long remember. In fact, Sally may never be able to forget it.
In my report from the coroner, he said the girl was assaulted by wolves, and she died as a result of the injuries inflicted.
Being safe is often no more than applying good judgment in everyday life. One night while Barbara was babysitting, the doorbell rang. She didn't open the door, but called and asked who it was. A stranger said his car had broken down and could he use the phone. Barbara was very polite, but she told him she was babysitting and expecting a call from her parents. However, she was sure the next-door neighbors were home and perhaps he could use their phone. The stranger thanked her and left. Now, Barbara had been polite and helpful, but she hadn't taken any chances. And when her father called, she was safe.
I don't believe it could have been the wolves. A girl who wanders out at night into the forest. And, Professor, she was alone, mind you. Not to mention the probable rendezvous with someone could very easily have been attacked by wolves.
Poor girl.
You see, it's often the things that are done without thinking that get young people into trouble. Trying to move too quickly into a world of grown-ups with a young person's faith often cause heartache and disaster.
Priscilla, what are you doing here? You'll be late to your next study hall.
I thought I'd forgotten my notebook, Professor.
Friday night was movie time for Sally and Elizabeth. Their parents alternated weeks taking them and picking them up. Friendships are easily made in a crowded theater, and when two older boys struck up a conversation and moved next to them, they were secretly pleased.
Yes? What can I do for you?
Mr. Swift, I found something of Mary's.
Please, sit down. Tell me everything.
This morning by post, there arrived a letter for Mary.
Yes?
I opened it. There were only a few words. Mary is blackmailing someone. And in this letter, they're threatening her.
From whom is this letter?
There isn't any name.
Mary and blackmail. May I see the letter?
No, I left it in the dresser in the dormitory.
I understand that you're upset about the death of your friend. However, I cannot excuse your conduct.
Mary was just assassinated. No one will convince me she was torn up by wolves.
Yes, that's right, for an exciting and very low payment of only $280 a month. Yes, hello? Hello? Oh, well, another customer has hung up on me again. I don't know why. I'll get the hang of this down the road. Yes, tonight, well, if you wonder what I'm doing, I'm short on cash, so I've decided to take up an exciting new career as a telemarketer. Yes, and during the movie, I'll be telemarketing maybe to you. Well, anyway. So, oh, and by the way, I've never told you before the reason why I cut the movies down to 1 hour. There's a very good reason for that. I have a rare disorder called shortflixia. Shortflixia. Yes, let me show you. Here's the definition. Yes, shortflixia. Well, as you see, it's the inability to watch movies any longer than 1 hour. Oh, well, how did I get this? Well, as a child, at the drive-in, I was struck by lightning. And now, any movie longer than an hour, I fall fast asleep. So I trimmed them down to 1 hour. So anyway, well, that's a dull explanation for you. You take a break.
And now back to the basement sublet of horror.
Yes, yes. Time shows can be very exciting. Hello? Hello? Oh, well, lost another one there. We're watching Werewolf in a Girl's Dorm on the basement sublet of horror tonight. And tonight, well, Dr. Alcott, I believe, is just about to come in.
Get back on the phone! We need at least 4 cells in the next hour! Chip, chop, chip, go!
Yes, sir.
Here's the chart representing the body and blood. Good. We'll leave this lesson as it is for today and pick it up on Tuesday. Please go now.
By day, innocent schoolgirls and secretaries. By night, the far from innocent swingers of a wild and way out sex cult.
I want to speak to you a moment.
But of course. Something you need to know?
Have you seen Mary's body?
Yes.
Why didn't I and the other girls get a chance to see it before the burial?
Maybe it's better that you remember her the way you last saw her.
But those scratches, those wounds, were they made by a wolf?
To my knowledge, this has not yet been confirmed. And I don't have any actual reason to doubt it.
At intermission, Sally found it flattering to have her friends see her in the company of older boys, and when they asked if they could take the girls home, she was all for it. She asked Elizabeth to call her folks and tell them that they could ride with a friend's parents. Elizabeth was tempted, but decided it wouldn't be right. And Sally was disappointed.
It's very difficult to understand, but now that you've been with us here for a week, what's your impression?
Well, I don't think these girls are any more difficult than others of their age.
Perhaps you're right, but these have found the bitterness of life much too early.
Yes, I must agree with you, even without knowing them as well as you do.
When the show was over and they were leaving, the boys suggested that if Elizabeth couldn't go with them, why didn't Sally come? Sally thought it was a great idea and asked Elizabeth to tell her folks that her parents had picked her up. Elizabeth didn't like the idea, but Sally insisted. So, Elizabeth left alone. Not any of the boys she went with had a car, so it was fun riding with the older fellows. But when they drove right past her house, she became concerned. When they arrived at Lookout Peak, she was frightened. She tried to convince herself there was nothing to worry about, but when they parked off the road, she knew she had gotten herself into something she couldn't handle.
Don't be afraid.
You're Sheena Whiteman.
You expected to find my husband, am I right? Stop it. Take this. This is so you would have a worthwhile reason for coming here. To me, you're another common slut, just like all the others. And as of now, it's finished between you and my husband.
Whiteman. It was your husband.
Stop it.
Now it's clear to me.
What's clear to you, you little tart? You're all alike. You're all ready to sell yourselves.
Yes, but not to be killed. Your husband has killed Mary Smith because she received this.
No. My husband is perhaps a philanderer, but he's not an assassin.
Then I'll explain all this to the police.
I warn you, girl, you'd better not be foolish or I'll be forced to appeal to the dogs. Stop it.
That wouldn't help you at all. All the other letters are securely hidden, in case they find me like my friend, attacked by the wolves.
Where are the other letters? Do you have them?
They drove around for a while and talked. Mary was a good listener, and Bob enjoyed nothing more than talking about himself.
And he's not even faithful. It's true. It's true the other night he had an appointment with that Mary.
After that, they saw a good deal of each other.
It wasn't my husband who killed your friend, and it was not the wolves. There was a moon. I saw that the assassin didn't run away immediately. He remained in almost a contortion for some moments on the bridge before going, and it was then that I was able to recognize him.
At first, Bob was willing to see her at the malt shop, but as time went on, he became jealous of her friends and insisted on their spending more time alone.
Who do you say is the murderer?
I don't want to tell you. Not now, anyway. It's better that you keep your nose out of this filthy mess. The letters and all the rest. Also that poor girl. Her name would be covered with mud. Let her rest in peace.
But she was assassinated.
You are really stupid. I've been foolish to confide in you.
Come on, calm down. What are you doing here at this hour?
Maybe I should ask you the same thing.
But I can respond to that. I'm fixing traps to free the forest from the wolves.
In a certain sense, we were doing the same thing.
Nonsense.
You're a strange girl.
Is that a compliment?
Oh, perhaps.
I get it. And then you... Well, if you can...
Let's say these G's are the germs, breeding in your mouth and throat. Other mouthwashes reduce the number of germs. But moments later, new ones start growing back to threaten your breath.
Dog days, hot dog days that is, somehow have a way of turning out to be fun days. The nice part of it is, there's one waiting for you right now.
It's all in the past now. Here you are protected.
Yes, yes. But it isn't that.
Then what is all this?
Sheena Whiteman.
Is this what's troubling you? Tell me why. You must have faith in me, Priscilla. You know that you can trust me.
Finally. They wouldn't even let me in here. They told me I mustn't stay long. Oh, excuse me. I'm not disturbing you.
No, I was just telling the professor how very pleased I am to see him.
Priscilla.
But at this point, it's better to say it all. Right, Professor?
But I thought I was doing fine. What did I do?
Come in. Sandy, what is it?
I must speak to you. It's something terrible.
Well, what is it? So speak.
I know who the monster is.
What's that?
Julian Alcott, the professor of science. He's a badly damaged arm.
This is not enough proof to even mention.
Mary was murdered the night of his arrival. It's him, and he's in the infirmary with Priscilla talking to
Go and call Professor Alcott now, and don't tell anyone what you just said to me.
But I...
Listen, if your suspicions are correct, I shall call the police. Now go ahead.
Cooperation is another way to keep a job.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Yes. What, in your opinion, happened in the woods?
Yep, I could see my shortcomings all over the place.
Well, I believe it has to do with a lycanthropist.
In other words, a sort of werewolf.
Exactly.
Please explain this to me further.
Well, I believe it has to do with a lycanthropist.
In other words, a sort of werewolf.
What is this? An interrogation?
Better to tell me than the police, don't you think?
Yes, of course. Well, you know of my career as a doctor. It was terminated by a tragic incident.
Oh, thank you for joining me today. I am Roger Slacks, and today we're going over the ways to improve the show. And as you can see by this graph, the humor level is pretty much non-existent. So you're wasting your time watching the Basement Sublet of Horror. You should spend your time concentrating all of your energy on the exciting opportunities in telemarketing and the grand expanse of timeshare real estate.
And now back to the Basement Sublet of Horror.
Yes, exciting opportunities. Hello, my friends. Things aren't really going well for me at all. Well, you'll have to go off and watch the movie because I'm being evaluated at the moment, so I have to get back to work here. So, yes, exciting opportunities in phone sales.
Trying to see yourself as your employer saw you. Better still, let me give you a picture of a case I really do know. It's about a young man who came to work in our shipping room here.
I was working for Dr. Benson at the mental hospital for the criminally insane. There was a girl. She was accused of homicide. I was in love with her.
Continue, please.
What is this? An interrogation? In a full moon. She would behave in a very strange way.
Continue, please.
She would lose complete control of herself and transform absolutely. And her face was like a beast's.
Continue, please.
Professionally, I wanted to try to help her. And after a certain time, I discovered a temporary antidote.
Continue, please.
The pituitary gland controls the function of the hormones, influencing the sexual organs and the thyroid. And as a direct reaction, it can cause a psychophysical transformation. For example, at every lunar cycle, the pituitary gland acts strangely and becomes enlarged.
Yep, I could see my shortcomings all over the place.
Our psychocontrols upset the balance of the neuroglandular system, causing incredible distortions in the skin, hair, and teeth. In this state, the patient cannot be saved. I was successful with the extract of the brain of a wolf while I was experimenting on her.
You might call him an eager beaver. But look at it from the employer's point of view. Wouldn't you like to have Bob working for you?
In observing the body of Mary, did you feel the crime was committed by a lycanthropus?
Yes. I'm almost sure about it. I continued my studies in this matter.
But tell me, Professor, have you ever experimented on yourself?
Yep, I could see my shortcomings all over the place.
I had to find out what it would be like for a normal human being. It was impossible to observe myself.
Would you mind showing me your right arm?
I didn't do anything. Why me?
Yes, it's hurt. But I did not attack Priscilla.
A strange coincidence, don't you think? Before you arrived, there never was any talk about monsters in this town.
Then you think that I'm...
Professor, you said yourself that a person can be completely out of control during a crisis. How much does he remember afterwards?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not even one sign remains of it.
And you believe that if you manage to find a definite antidote, you'll probably save the life of that person.
You asked me to tell you about a lycanthropus. His sickness must have satisfaction. In the next transformation, he'll try again.
Dependability is one of the main keys to keeping a job and getting ahead.
Then you know who the attacker is.
Well, if I should discover an antidote, I'm sure that this person would certainly want to be helped.
Now, we begin work here at 8:30. That's the time to begin this business of keeping a job.
Who are the gutter girls? By day, innocent schoolgirls and secretaries. By night, the far from innocent swingers of a wild and way-out sex cult. Gutter Girls, the lusty and revealing story of girls with a new slant on sin. Gutter Girls, they'll do anything for kicks, and men know it. Girls who go all the way, and then ask why.
That's impossible.
I think you've got what it takes.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Warren.
Look there!
Where?
At the top of the stairs!
Walter, stop, or I'll shoot!
And I want you to know that I picked you as the most likely to succeed out of a number of young men we've been considering to fill this opening in our sales organization.
Girls, go back to the dormitory. This is nothing for you to see.
I said stop, or I'll shoot!
Watch out!
I don't know what's the matter. I just don't seem to get the hang of this business.
Say, maybe that's the reason I haven't had very much luck with Jimmy. Or with Henderson, that other fellow I hired last year.
Tell me, were you fired?
Yes, I was. But it wasn't my fault.
There's nothing more to do.
He was the monster. He tried to kill Sandy.
Enough of that. Miss Leonora, get them all inside.
Go on, girls. Enough now. Go on inside.
This is appalling, Sir Alfred.
Yes. It's like a compulsion I have here inside of me. I've always paid. I've always paid for everything.
You know you've killed Walter.
No. I only asked him to find the letters. I didn't know he'd be foolish enough to risk his life.
If Miss Leonora and I had not discovered the letters, you would be in jail.
I'm innocent. If only Sheena was still alive.
But why?
Because Sheena, that night, when Mary was killed, she followed me.
But why?
She saw who it was.
Don't invent these absurd stories. There's no need for it. I have no intention of denouncing you.
I haven't had a moment of peace since Sheena died.
But why?
It's as if I had killed her with my own hands. If only I had the courage to kill myself.
But why?
Strange.
Even the death of your own wife looks strange in the light of this story.
You think that If you destroy me, you destroy yourself as well.
Go, Sir Alfred.
That nobody thinks very much of a man who talks against the company he works for. And what did Walter gain by making that false statement about his company? Nothing.
Why didn't you tell me about Sir Alfred?
Because I was afraid. I don't know much about you, Julian. You continue to have secrets. Julian, I know you're a medical doctor.
Ah. Well, then. You must also know that I'm a failure.
I could have done a lot better on every count.
You can do better.
Julian, is one mistake really so bad?
You must also know that I'm a failure. All right, let's go. There are more important things to be done now.
Then he showed me how to go about getting it, how to keep it up, how to cover the list, and how often.
Sir Alfred, I have a very delicate question to ask you. Let me assure you I will tell no one of this visit.
How dare you, sir?
The letters. I know. The facts are all against you right now. But if you have nothing to hide, why are you afraid?
None of these prospects seem much good. Well, they're the best I've got, so I'll stay with them.
Perhaps I was wrong. So we had a relationship, but that's all there was to it. There's no reason to believe that I would murder her. Excuse me, will you, woman, please? I'll go get the letters, and you can see for yourself.
Oh, well, you can't sell them all.
No.
Well, what about him?
It's a possibility.
You need to insure your job. Make yourself so valuable your employer can't let you go.
Oh yes, no, please, please. It's a good deal for you. Oh, they hung up. Oh, hello. Well, apparently I'm not doing too well as telemarketing. Yes, tonight I'm trying to make ends meet by doing a part-time job while I'm hosting the movie. So I'm doing a little bit of telemarketing on the side here, and well, I'm not too good at it. Things aren't going too well, and I haven't made it.
Could you please step into my office?
Be back in a moment.
We return now to the basement sublet of horror.
Guess what, my friends? Tell you what, I really stink as a telemarketer. So good news, I can go back to being a movie host again. So,
Mr. Gunther Dedmund.
Yes, sir.
Take your terrible movies and get out.
You go back to the movie, and I'll be back in a moment, okay?
I need you.
That's mighty flattering, Mr. Warren.
I get it. And then you...
Breathe on it, and you can see your own breath. But you cannot see whether it's fresh and clean and pleasing to other people.
The name is Blackula!
Who dares call forth the most horrible specter of the damned?
I had a point to make, so I invented a twin brother for you.
Leonore. My poor Leonore.
It's necessary to have a second injection.
I know.
Oh, darling, please, let us finish the cure now.
No. Better that you leave me like this. I wish that you hadn't been late that night.
I arrived too late. Probably at that moment, Mary was escaping in the woods and might well have seen me come here.
Don't have remorse now.
You don't know what I've done.
Tell me, why are you interested in this job?
I need a steady job, Mr. Wiley, with a chance to go places.
The second injection. You know I'm not a murderer.
Gee, that'll be swell, Mr. Warren. I'll sure appreciate your help. I always learn something, too, when we go out together.
The key, Leonore.
This is how not to be dependable. How not to cooperate with the company and with your fellow workers.
You must have known it was Walter. You were with him that night in the guardhouse. So what? And now?
Listen to that story. Tell us, Chris, is it because you're making time with the professor that you're being so very uppity about it?
Don't listen to him.
You'll see how teacher puts her knowledge to work and turns out a class of pleasure girls. This is the love school where sin was an education and an affair was an A on the report card.
Miss Leonore will not be with you this morning. She had to leave for reasons of her own. Silence! You have no right to judge others, much less when they are dead.
What are you doing? Leave me alone. Wolf, where are you taking me? Wolf! What are you looking for?
The pop and sizzle of the juicy meat seems to say, come and get me, I'm done to a turn.
What are you doing here?
There. Over in the woods. It's terrible. It's terrible.
What have you seen?
I've seen a corpse. It's Walter.
What are you saying to me? You're imagining things.
No, I've seen it. It's not my imagination. But if the body of Walter is buried in the woods, who could be buried in the cemetery?
I get it. And then you... Well, if you can...
Mr. Swift. Mr. Swift, what are you doing? Can't you hear me?
Say, Mr. Wiley, did I ever tell you about my twin brother?
Name is Blackula!
Yep, hungry or not, it's hard to resist the tantalizing aroma and taste appeal of a sizzling hot dog.
Mr. Harrington, $390 is just the absolute best we can do on your car.
And that's exactly the reason why I won't buy. You're too far out of line.
Leonore. I've killed again.
You haven't killed Priscilla. I shot you. I had to.
It's better this way. Without Leonore, I don't want to live.
Well, now it's finished.
The moon. It was a nightmare for me.
I know. Now the nightmare is past.
And never forget, as I did, that people who represent you need your help.
Oh, telemarketing, what a bad idea. My new neighbor, who, well, I got fired again. You know, some people just can't keep a job. I think movie hosting is about the only job I've ever wanted and about the only job I can hold. So the only trouble is still short on cash. What will I do? I don't know. Might have to be thrown out of the basement sublet. Oh, that'll be the end of everything. Well, anyway, we'll see what happens. So tune in next week, and maybe we'll be here with another movie for you. Maybe I'll be out on the street in a cardboard box. This is Gunther Dedmund. Good night, my friends.
Believe me, leadership pays. First, hire good men, and then see that they're well trained on their own product and on competitive products. Second, be sure they have all the equipment and selling helps they need and know how to use them. Third, help them plan their work to make the most effective use of their time. And fourth, stay in close touch with every man. Know what each one is doing. Work with them. And fifth, keep up their enthusiasm. Encourage every man every day.